Welcome to a deep dive. Today, we're diving into some source material that gets right to the heart of a question a lot of you might have. How do you navigate the world of precious metals investment, especially, potentially adding gold to your retirement strategy?
That's exactly right. We've got an article here from Doug Young at the Gold IRA Company's Bulletin, and it does a head-to-head comparison of two firms, Augusta Precious Metals and Blanchard and Company. The goal, well, the stated goal in the source, is helping you make informed investment decisions.
Okay, great. So let's unpack what this source actually lays out. We're going to look at what the article says makes these companies tick, their services, their reputations as presented here, and ultimately what the source concludes about which one might, come out on top. Importantly, this is based only on the information provided in this specific article.
Precisely. Sticking to the source material.
So first off, why are firms like these even on someone's radar? What's the context the article gives?
Well, the source touches on this, yeah, in its key takeaways and the FAQ section. Basically, gold investment firms offer options for diversifying your portfolio. Gold itself, it's often considered a safe investment. Historically, it's been a store of value. It's not usually directly tied to the stock market swings, and it can act as a hedge against inflation, maybe economic downturns too.
Right, so stability, hedging risk, that seems to be the angle presented. And this article, it zeroes in on two specific players. Let's start by getting to know Augusta Precious Metals, according to this source.
Okay, so according to the article, Augusta Precious Metals, they've been around since 2012. Their focus is really on gold and silver IRAs. And the source says they place a strong emphasis on client education.
Okay, and here's where the article presents some, well, really interesting points about Augusta. They seem to have built quite a reputation, and the source highlights a few specific things that stand out.
Yes, definitely. Particularly their track record on customer satisfaction. The article explicitly states they have a history of zero complaints, ever. At the Better Business Bureau, the BBB, and the Business Consumer Alliance, BCA.
Hold on, zero complaints, ever, at the BBB and BCA. That's quite a statement from the article.
It is. That's the source reports.
Okay, so what about what they actually offer? Products, services?
Right. The source lists their products, gold and silver IRAs, that's the main thing, also non-IRA precious metals options, and a buyback program. The article says they make starting an account pretty easy. They guide you through it.
And the article also mentions a whole list of accolades, awards, and things.
It does, yeah. Several industry awards are detailed. Money Magazine apparently named them Best Overall Gold IRA Company for 2 years running 2023 and 2024. Investopedia recognized them, too, for most transparent pricing, same years, 23 and 24. And TrustLink voted them best of for 6 consecutive years. That's what the article says.
That is quite a list of endorsements from third parties mentioned there. What else does the article highlight as a strength for them?
Their commitment to compliance is mentioned. They apparently have an in-house compliance section led by an independent adjudicator, and they undergo regular, voluntary third-party inspections, according to the source. Plus, they offer some strong guarantees. A 7-day money-back guarantee, a 100% satisfaction guarantee, and the highest buyback guarantee.
Guarantees too. Okay. And education is a big part of their approach, right? You mentioned that earlier.
Absolutely. The source really emphasizes their extensive resources, articles, videos, that kind of thing. And uniquely, it mentions they provide free one-on-one web conferences for prospective clients. This is with Devlin Steele, their director of education, who the article describes as a Harvard-trained economist.
A Harvard-trained economist for a one-on-one.
Yeah, but the source notes there's a qualification. It's for those meeting a $100,000 minimum savings level.
Ah, okay. That's a key detail. So how about fees? The article says they're upfront, transparent.
Yes, transparency in fees is noted as a positive. The article mentions competitive pricing, and it also highlights an offer to cover certain fees for up to 10 years, though it depends on the purchase amount. And it says they're clear about their investment minimums, too.
And customer feedback. What does the source say people like about them?
Well, according to the article, customers praise the easy process, the staff being knowledgeable, and just the peace of mind they feel working with Augusta. That's the sentiment reported.
Okay, that gives us a pretty clear picture of Augusta, at least based on this source material. Let's turn our attention now to the other company in this comparison, Blanchard and Company. What does the article tell us about them?
Right, Blanchard. They have a longer legacy, the article states, tracing back over 4 decades. They're known for personalized investment services. And similar to Augusta in this respect, they also focus on empowering clients through understanding the market.
Okay, a longer history. What kind of investment options do they offer, according to the article?
Blanchard offers a broader range based on the source. It specifically mentions rare coins and collectibles. That seems to be a key area for them, alongside bullion for physical gold and silver holders. And they also offer personalized investment strategies tailored to individual goals. The source notes they understand that no two investors are alike.
Interesting. So a bit of a different approach compared to Augusta's strong IRA focus as presented. What about client support and education at Blanchard?
Education is also a cornerstone for Blanchard, according to the article. They provide information like market news, historical data on precious metals, that sort of thing. And their advisors, the source says, are trained to guide clients toward decisions that align with their long-term financial objectives.
And their pricing and process. What does the article say there?
The source says Blanchard is transparent about pricing, helps clients plan without, hidden fees. Their purchase process is designed to be straightforward and secure as well.
Okay. And finally, their track record and feedback. How does the source describe that?
Blanchard, the article mentions, has a loyal client base and hundreds of positive reviews. Clients apparently often highlight the quality of their advice, the range of their offerings, and the integrity of their service.
Right. So we've looked at what the article says about each one individually. Now, it does a side-by-side comparison, right? Looking at how they stack up directly.
It does, yeah. A direct head-to-head based on the author's analysis.
So based purely on this source, what are the key differences when we compare their investment products?
Well, the article highlights Augusta as a standout for those really focused on gold and silver IRAs, whereas Blanchard, it says, caters to a broader market, specifically mentioning rare coins and those personalized strategies.
And customer service, how does the article differentiate them there?
Augusta is noted in the source for its strong educational approach and personal customer service. Very hands-on, it seems. Blanchard, the article suggests, offers a more, maybe, traditional advisory experience, with a focus on personalization and long-term strategy. And connecting this to the bigger picture for a potential investor, the fee structure is always crucial, isn't it?
Definitely. The article says both are transparent, but it did note Augusta offers that potential fee coverage for some clients.
Exactly. That's a key point the source makes. Augusta potentially going a step further by offering to cover certain fees for qualifying clients, which, could be a significant saving. Blanchard's value, according to the article, comes more from its deep market knowledge and perhaps the potential in those rare coin investments.
How about just getting things done? Accessibility, ease of transactions?
The source says Augusta scores highly there, a streamlined process, especially for setting up a gold or silver IRA. Blanchard, offering maybe more traditional transactions, also provides a clear pathway, according to the article, so both seem functional.
And finally, reputation and industry standing. How does the article contrast them?
Okay, so Augusta, the source presents as having a really strong reputation. It cites those high ratings, the zero complaint record at BBB and BCA again, and glowing customer reviews. Blanchard, on the other hand, has that long-standing history, a solid reputation too, but the article especially notes their expertise in rare coins.
Right. So the article wraps all this up with a conclusion based on the author's evaluation. What does the source actually determine in the end?
Well, following their scrutiny, the author concludes that Augusta Precious Metals comes out on top for several compelling reasons mentioned in the article.
Okay. Which reason specifically does the article list for that conclusion?
It lists their commitment to compliance, that flawless complaints record we mentioned, and the high ratings from BBB and BCA. Also, the specific industry awards money, Investopedia, TrustLink, and the peace of mind guarantees the money back, the satisfaction guarantee. And finally, their transparent educational approach, including those one-on-one webinars and personalized service.
So, while the source acknowledges Blanchard is a strong contender, with a rich history and diverse services, it positions Augusta as exemplifying, maybe, the pinnacle of quality and reliability, specifically in the gold IRA market, which seems to be the article's main focus for comparison.
That seems to be the takeaway from the source, yes. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? This deep dive into the source material really highlights that understanding a company's history, its services, client support, these are key things the article presents for making informed decisions. Transparency in fees and customer satisfaction, those seem to be presented as crucial indicators of reliability in this analysis.
Yeah, we've looked at the specific details the article provides, Augusta's zero complaints claim, the awards, their IRA focus, and education,
Hmm.
and contrasted that with Blanchard's longer history, broader offerings, including those rare coins, and a more traditional personalized approach, as described.
Which really raises an important question for you to think about based on what this source laid out.
Yes, it absolutely does. When you consider the different strengths and focuses presented in this specific article, Augusta leaning heavily into the gold IRA market, emphasizing education, that documented lack of complaints, and Blanchard offering a wider array, including collectibles built on decades of history with personalized advisory. How might your own specific investment goals, maybe your comfort level with different assets like rare coins versus bullion, and even your preferred style of working with an advisor? How might those personal factors influence which of these two approaches, as described only in this source, might actually align best with what you need?
Well, we've taken a deep dive into the source material comparing Augusta Precious Metals and Blanchard and Company. We've explored what the article says about their offerings, their reputations, and the specific points it uses to differentiate them.
Hopefully, this exploration of the source has given you a clearer picture of how this particular article assesses these two firms, and maybe some key things to consider, all drawn directly from the text provided.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.